Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to continue our to-do list view controller implementation. So let's go ahead and basically create our table view. Okay, so table view control is going to be, so let's go ahead and first create a lazy bar. So table view control basically is going to need the information about data source and the delegate. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign this view controller by saying self, or by assigning self to data source and delegate, that this view controller is responsible for providing the data, also reacting to any of the functions that are provided by delegate, and users that are reacting, that are interacting with the app, with the cells or the table view. Okay. Before we forget, we want to make sure that we actually translate auto resizing mask to false. That way we can define our constraints programmatically. Okay. Now, next thing we want to do is we want to register our reusable cells. We have two types of cells, and if you look at our delegate at this point, data source, at this point our data source is returning a generic UI table view cell. Well, we want to basically return an actual cell, basically either to-do list table view cell or a summary table view cell, depending upon the section that we are currently showing. But we can't do that until we actually register our cell with the table view. So let's go ahead and do that by calling register function, which takes a cell class and a reuse identifier. Okay, this reuse identifier is important because this is going to be defined in the in this area right here, to recognize what kind of cell is being reused, so we can actually efficiently repurpose the cells that are no longer visible onto the screen. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to first register our to-do list table view cell, and we're going to call to-do list table view cell dot self. And for the reuse identifier, we're going to call this to do cell. Okay, we're going to register another cell. So we have two cells in total. The next one is summary table view cell, and we're going to call self on that. And this one is going to have the reuse identifier as summary cell. Okay, all right. Now, once we have basically these two cells registered, we want to make sure that we provide an estimated row height, a default row height for each cell. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the table view's cell height as the automatic dimension. So based on the size of the content, our table view cell can adjust its own view space. Okay, so we are simply going to say estimated row height is equal to 200, and row height is UI table view dot automatic dimension. Okay, this way the table view will use constraints to determine how big or small the cell needs to be in order to display all the content. All right. Now, we already have our celebration animation view. What we want to do is we want to hide this animation initially. So we want to say it is hidden, is set to true initially, and we want to basically unhide it when we are ready to display this. Now, reason it is important because this celebration animation view is going to sit on the top of table view. So if we don't hide it, all the events, tap events, scroll events, span, gesture, and all these events are going to be received by this view, and none of them will make it to the table view. So that's the reason why we want to make it hidden, so it's not rendered in the hierarchy until we actually need it. Okay, Now let's go and basically work on our view did load. Okay, so we are already setting our background color. We are setting the title. There's one more thing that we want to set basically on the navigation bar, and that is going to be navigation controller dot navigation bar dot prefers large title, so we can support large title onto the screen. So our title right now is tucked away at the top, and we want to basically display large title for the view DevTechie's task in this case. Okay, so this setting right here, by setting prefers large title, is going to basically help us achieve that. All right, next what we want to do is we want to add our table view onto the view. Okay, and let's go ahead and set the constraint for table view. So we're going to say activate constraints, and we will activate constraint by covering the entire screen with the table view. So leading anchor constraint equal to view dot leading anchor, and we're going to create 4 more entries. Leading top, so let's go ahead and set the top anchor, bottom, trailing, and bottom anchor. Okay, so this is basically going to create our table view, and if I go ahead and run this right now, what we should see is we should be able to scroll and not only see our basically slightly see our table view. Let me switch to the light mode, and you can see there are 3 rows that are created, and as we are scrolling, our navigation controller is basically shrinking to an inline view. Okay, so far so good. What we have done is basically we have added our table view, added the constraints, so table view is showing up fine, and then we're going to add our animation view. Now animation view is going to sit on the top of the table view. Okay, so animation view, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these constraints because they are going to be exactly same except the name. So this guy right here is going to sit on the top, but because it's hidden at this point, it's not going to render on the hierarchy, meaning we can still interact with our table view. Okay, now let's go ahead and basically on the view did appear, so we need view did appear. Okay, and we already had view did appear, so let's go ahead and unhide that, or actually I'll leave it there so you can actually have the example of what we did to test our code. And I'm going to add view did appear one more time. I'm going to call super.viewDidAppear animated. Okay, and we're going to call view model, and we're going to get all the tasks. As soon as the view appears, we want to basically fetch all the tasks that are stored inside the core data. Okay, now next we want to do is we want to, as soon as we fetched all the data, we want to reload our table view by calling table view.reload data. So all the data that's been fetched so far can be picked up by the table view and rendered by the table view. Okay, so this is all the code that you need basically for to-do list view controller. Now next thing what we want to do is we want to basically define what's inside our cell. Okay, so if we head over to the data source part, notice that we are actually returning a generic UI table view cell at this point. What we want to do instead is we want to put a conditional statement, and depending upon which section we are basically displaying, we want to basically render that kind of cell. So in the next video, let's go ahead and put the proper cell together, and also basically finish up the the delegate part. Delegate does not contain anything at this point, so we're gonna basically put some of the functions in here, like swipe gestures and stuff like that, and basically run our application and see if everything is working fine. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.